we are back. You guys ready to start?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So with all that, those of you that sleep, you wake up refreshed and ready for the day. You are free to do anything you like.
I sit with the prisoner and wait for her to regain consciousness.
All right. Before we get to that, is there anything someone wants to do in the morning? Do things they want to take care of? Any of that?
Hold on a second. Yes, there is something.
Well, I was planning on waiting with the prisoner until, I don't know if we might get summoned to speak to the governor, but while we're waiting, I will attempt to talk with Pakaz about his move object powers in the Force, and see if he could help me train that while we wait.
Well,
since he has such an impressive display of mastery over the Force in that aspect.
Yeah, scarily so.
Yeah, Elon, if you're awake while I get up, you hear me say this. And then I'll take a look at the armor, because I never got a chance to do that. So that'd be a mechanics check. Or
It's either that or ask me. Either way, he'd be ready. At this time of day, he'd probably tell you what exactly it's all there. Durastill's not exactly that hard to figure out. Go ding, ding, ding with your hand and you figure, oh, that's Durastill.
Durastill's like this. It's like steel. It's very common in Star Wars.
Yep.
But if you'd like to make a mechanics check, you're certainly welcome to.
why not?
This is where you roll a natural one, you have to fall asleep on the bed again.
No, let's not go there.
Yep. That's Durasteel. Even though what I knocked on was wood. That's Durasteel. All right.
Well, Durasteel actually makes the sound of wood when you knock on it, so...
I felt like knocking on something. The only thing I have is my desk, so...
It's too late, it's canon now.
There you go. Yes. Because of that strange sound, it actually is rather light material. Even though it's thicker than, or tougher than most metals, it's an actually extremely lightweight and flexible material.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like pretty decent light armor. I don't know if you're not used to wearing armor, it might slow you down quite a bit, though.
I'm not used to armor. I tend to prefer a little bit more of a relaxed, slight, almost uniform style. I also tend to do things that Durasteel doesn't like to do, like sneak around.
Yeah, well, we might be better off seeing if we can either give it to someone else or maybe trade it in for something.
That's what I figured. I figured I'd let y'all have the first pick, and then we'll decide what to do from there. That way it goes to benefit our little group here first, and then we can benefit the colony next, and then hopefully, impress people by our nice shiny armor.
Yeah, did you learn anything interesting from the data pad yet?
Yeah, actually, quite a few things. There's a lot of lists and a lot of names of people here, like lists of potential threats, who she wanted to avoid and whatnot. And just some various points of weaknesses around the camp, so it's...
So, like, she's sending intel for an attack.
I'm not sure if she's sending the intel or if she was just using it. I'm pretty certain it's more of she was using it as her notepad. There's, for example, here, there's a note here under the for the High Commander. She remarks that he has strong leadership, but he's much more dangerous than appears. Avoid contact. So I get the feeling this may have been her own personal compad, or at least just for her to take some notes on.
So, it sounds like not only was she keeping censored, she knew people here, so we should see if they have who she is on record.
Yeah, I would almost bet you she's been seen by somebody here in the camp, at least probably by somebody who's a little Rhodian or something.
Well, he might want to show a picture of her around, see if we get a strong reaction from somebody. Maybe she has someone she's working with on the inside, we still don't know. Or there was some way to tell if she sent that intel somewhere off-world.
True. Zeri, did I get anything from the hollow... Words go out to my brain.
Hollow projector?
Yeah, the hollow projector.
You did. Being able to crack it a little bit better, you do find that it has one signal embedded to it. As far as where it goes, all it has are star coordinates, and they're a little harder for you to tell as you haven't really been to that part of space. But the interesting thing is that it doesn't seem like there's no records of any incoming data to the communicator. All you've ever seen were the records you could tell. They seem to be just one-way communicators that didn't last very long and were very sparse in the amount of times that she used that one number.
Okay, I'll relay the information on over to Ajax.
Well, I guess there's no way to tell what she told those people or anything. It's unfortunate.
This location would be quite interesting to investigate. It's about
That
right
would
now.
require getting off-world, which we
Yeah.
haven't been able to do. Trust me, no one wants to talk to the Sith more than I do. I have
Oh.
questions I need them to answer.
I figure. This is one of those few days where I wish I had some of the resources I used to have at Mar Shaddai.
What kind of resources?
Republic security.
Ah,
So yeah, just a little bit more than I have right now.
well, maybe the colonist star charts have more information on the location.
That's a good point. I'll make sure.
For
to
sure,
remember this.
the ships we came over on should have some nav computers.
We should be able to get some information from the governor as well, or the governess. This is some good information about who would want to hurt the colony, and I have a feeling she'll probably help us out here, and the commander as well.
Well, while we wait for summons, do you want to go check out the ship, see if we can find out where that's pointing to?
That sounds like a good idea. Let's head out.
All right, let's leave something here. Let people know where we're going, so they can find us.
Yeah.
Right. As you two leave behind a message, Shialu, Pakaz, Kalani, your prisoner begins to awaken.
I walk over to her. I just stand there, waiting.
Yeah.
Looking short, tentacly, and inquisitive.
Are you all kind of just surrounding her?
Probably not
So is she
quite
in
as much
some
as
sort of cell,
Pakaz
or
is.
are we inside the cell where she is, or?
Where are you?
I don't know.
I thought that we were. Well, was she in like a medical operating room, or did they move
I'm in
her
the
after
same
they
room
finished?
wherever she is.
She was in a cell. She had medical attention to her, but you are free to be wherever you'd like.
Well, I was going to be outside the cell, but if Pakaz was inside the cell and he was teaching me, I guess I was in too.
Well, I probably wouldn't teach you inside the cell. That's
Okay, yeah.
This
So
is
we're all
getting
standing
confusing.
at the cell door looking in at her.
All right. She looks to you guys, and she looks around her room. Doesn't say anything.
I'm afraid that the power of the dark side is not what you thought it to be.
Perhaps. Perhaps it was just the people who taught me.
We don't mean you any harm, but we do not wish you to be able to harm us or the colony. So would you perhaps like to tell us more about what you are doing here?
Not in particular, but I'm not sure I have much of a choice. What would you like me to tell you?
Well, it seems that you had a data pad and other technology of Sith design. Were you sent here by the Sith?
Yes?
For what purpose?
You see, she hesitates and she looks at her cuffed hands. I was sent here to observe.
Were you among some of the passengers on board the refugee ships?
No, I was brought here.
So the Sith know that we're here.
They have known for some time.
So I frown and look at the others when she says that.
Trying desperately not to show how nervous I am.
You notice Pakaz's eyes are a little bit narrower.
So you were monitoring the colony to look for weaknesses?
Yes.
What have you told them?
Everything that I have learned.
Do you think they will attack anytime soon?
If all goes according to plan, it will be very soon. A matter of weeks.
Can you elaborate on this plan?
I was to send data so that the remnants of the Admiral's fleet could come and finish what Sol Karath started.
Mm. If you continue sending some sort of data, maybe false data, they won't necessarily know that you have been caught. If we are lenient on you, do you think you'd be willing to do this?
It would not matter. I'm supposed to maintain radio silence unless I learn something new. If I don't learn anything new, I'm to return home.
So you have a ship of some kind?
No.
Then how
So
are
how
you
are
to
you going
return
to return?
home?
I was supposed to steal a ship. Make it look like it had been one of you all along.
Taz laughs a bit.
So how did you get here?
I was brought here.
By who?
By my masters.
I'm curious how you would propose leaving the system without a working hyperdrive.
I wasn't going to leave on the ship you came. I knew that you were expecting supplies. I was going to either steal or stow away on a ship then.
When Pakaz says that we don't have a ship with a working hyperdrive, at first I sort of frown at him for revealing that information, and then I think to myself that she already knew everything about the colony, and I changed my mind.
What do you know about the city that you were inhabiting, and its inhabitants? As much as they may be.
When I came here, I quickly looked for a base, a place to stay, but it had to be somewhere the colonists would never look. I came upon that old city. City of the Dead, they only called it. At first they were not hostile, but adverse to my being there. They kept asking me to go away. But I knew that inside your people wouldn't reach me. So I stayed there for a while, learned all I could. At first they were a bit-
Obviously an error.
Not at all. It worked for my purposes.
Well, we
See
did
that-
find you.
That was only because I made a mistake, but not because I stayed there. I realized they were more annoyed with me, but there's something about their culture. When I read some of their things, something about their old culture where they believed in balance of the force, but non-violence. I suspect this led to their downfall, as they were wiped out from a very powerful and very ancient race, which I'm not quite certain about. At any rate, I realized that this violent nature in which they were destroyed, it led to their sort of protection to what little was left of their civilization. I'm ashamed to admit that I used this to my advantage, for I could see no other way to cause problems for the colony without revealing myself. So I began to deface their culture. This sent them in anger, but again, their peaceful nature wouldn't allow them to harm me directly. They thought I was part of the colony, which I encouraged. They set the fire to your greenhouse. They encouraged the beasts to be more aggressive, to keep people out of the forest. They did all they could. Eventually, when they found you, that's when they began to be more friendly. They began to usher you in. And that was my mistake. I didn't count on them seeing you as an opportunity. I thought they'd just scare you away like everyone else.
They are the ones who stirred up the beasts?
Yeah, they told us that you had done that.
Of course they did. And I'm sure they convinced themselves that my presence caused their anger, which caused them to stir the beast. But while I am a gifted force user, I am but an apprentice. I cannot control mass amounts of animals to go beyond their nature.
Yeah, I rolled perception.
Alright?
Um,
Are you trying to
not-
see if she's lying?
yeah.
Surprisingly, she's been very honest in everything she says. Every look she gives you. And even in the Force, there's no tremors of deceit or anything. She is just pouring out and answering every question you have. Except because you're just enamored with the story. You have no idea if she's telling the truth or not. But
At least it wasn't a natural.
But
What
Shayalu
if-
and Kalani, you can see she's telling the truth. Or at least she believes she is.
Okay. This is
But
weird.
were you not there at the night of the fire of the greenhouse?
I was there. But I did not set the fire. I simply knew that was the action they were going to take. And I knew where the fire extinguishers were. I had hoped that perhaps the fire would spread or would cause some confusion. I hoped that if I got rid of what was necessary, it would last a little longer, though I suspected that the commander probably would have a way to just stop it. At least he seemed a bit more cunning than the rest.
Narrowing my eyes.
Wait, what do you
there
mean
at
about
that.
that?
Simply what I said. The commander has seen more than the average person here. It's probably why he's in charge of security. Probably why the governor is so enamored with him. He is extremely loyal to her.
So you said that it shames you to admit that you were defacing their culture to anger them? That is quite curious.
Why should it be? Any culture is worth safekeeping. You can learn from many of them.
You do not exactly sound like the normal Sith.
That is because the Sith you have dealt with are not true Sith.
Because looks really confused.
I think just about everyone is probably.
Then he
What
says,
do
"What
you
are
mean?
Sith?"
Oy.
Tell me the name of the first Sith that comes to your mind.
What's your
Revan.
name?
Is Revan truly a Sith? Was he not born and raised in your traditions? And she looks at you, Kalani.
Yes, but he fell to the dark side and became a Sith.
Ah, but was he raised in the Sith traditions? Does he know what honor is? Does he know why we fight and channel the dark side? Or does he merely fall to it because of convenience or ambition?
The dark side has no honor.
That is what a Jedi would say.
Kaz just looks really confused.
Poor Sith.
The goal of the dark side is to spread discord and seek power for personal gain at the expense of harmony with others.
Dark side?
Yes, because if you reach out in the Force and try to get a sense of this woman's aura in the Force, do you feel that it is different from the aura that I or Kalani have?
Okay, this is going to take a second of talking with Zariana. So, 1 second.
And here's where things get complicated.
Okay, so you all see Picard focus for a moment, and then he scrunches furrows his brow. And he says, you, he looks like he's having trouble getting out what it is he wants to say.
You really don't understand the dark side?
I've never heard of the dark side.
How is that possible? You're strong in the Force. You seem to have had quite a bit of training.
I don't know how to express it in basic. He ponders for a moment. If I were to express it using colors, this person you say is a dark side user, it would be a bright red, and you would be bright yellow, and Shialu turquoise.
Look pretty puzzled.
I don't know how to explain it. I'm not used to these concepts.
Well, just as people's actions can be either good or evil, or moral or unmoral, such as protecting a life versus needlessly taking in one or causing harm. That is how the Tia and the Jedi view the Force as not simply a tool, but as more of a living energy, which has multiple aspects to it from which people can draw on. And it's not just an evil act that alone is perpetuated by a dark side user, but the fact that they call on the negative energies of wrath, hatred, fear, and anger in order to command the Force, rather than seeking peace within to harness their connection with it.
Picard's brow is still really furrowed.
That is also, I believe, what that swirling nexus symbol on the city gates was representing. The light and the dark, or the chaos and harmony of the Force. Well, perhaps we can discuss this more later.
Yes, probably a good idea.
I'd be curious to hear what your teachings on the nature of the Force are. So, you were saying that Revan is not a true Sith. Would you consider yourself a true Sith? I thought you were a follower of Revan.
And you see, she kind of, it's almost like she wants to get an answer out, but then she pulls herself back and she thinks for a moment to herself, I don't know what I am anymore. In the past, I would say, yes, I am a true Sith, and Revan is not. Perhaps I should explain that better. Revan was a great warrior, as far as I know. He was powerful, and he defeated the Mandalorians with such vigor that the Jedi and the Republic were caught off guard. Since something must have happened, he must have got drunk with power or saw some need. At any rate, he decided that the galaxy should be under his control, and the easiest way to do that was to join the dark side. From my perspective, he came to Korriban, my home, and placed himself as the new leader of the Sith. We hadn't had one for a while, so at first we agreed. Then he brought these other fallen Jedi with him, and they all claim to be Sith. But they have no understanding what it is to be Sith. They do not come from our culture, and they do not understand what we do. They've simply used our power for their own means.
I rolled galactic lore.
For what?
To make some sense of what she's talking about, the mention of Korriban and all that.
What specifically are you looking for?
If I know anything about this? I don't know.
Well, you would know the planet of Korriban. The Jedi have had encounters with them. It's played a role in the Jedi history. There was a war. You can remember there was a war several years back where the Jedi fought on Korriban. You know that traditionally that name is associated with Sith. Beyond that, you're not exactly sure. You don't know much more than that.
And about her having been there already and all that?
She claims it's her homeworld.
Does that make any sense with what I already know?
Are you talking about your handout? Or something else?
What I know about Korriban. That there were people, and in particular Sith, living there still?
It's hard to say, actually. With that, you know that there's likely people still living there, as in the Galactic Republic charts, it is a planet, and there are shipments and stuff that go there, though not many people visit. As far as Sith being there, you're pretty certain that the Sith were almost wiped out, but it's hard to tell. And apparently you didn't pay that much attention in history class, so you're having a hard time remembering all the details. When he came, we first thought that perhaps this would be a second coming for the Sith. Perhaps we would rise again, but he's just a power-hungry monster who has no respect for what it means to be a Sith, or the culture we've had before.
Power-hungry monster is how I consider all Sith. How do you claim your group to be different? What are you actually like?
Sith is an ideal. It is the ideal that because you are powerful and because you can make things happen, you have the will to do it. You should be able to. But it does not mean that you are to wipe out anyone that gets in your way. That, as Revan would interpret it. For what reason is there to kill a person when you can prove that they are wrong? Only the Jedi are the ones who destroy things they don't understand, instead of trying to learn and gain power from them.
How do... What do you
Because
mean?
looks contemplative at what she has said.
Exactly what I have said.
We do not destroy that simply which is different, just what is evil.
Ah, so that's how you justify the destruction of my homeworld. Is that what they teach you, little Jedi?
So the your Sith teachings say that because someone is powerful in the Force and they are able to do something, then they have the right to do it.
Yes, but only because they have struggled. Only because they have fought others who did the same. Eventually, you rule. A king does not become a king simply because he is entitled. He has to keep his rule by destroying his enemies and protecting those who are his. A Sith is to do the same.
And this is why the Sith have fallen, because this is clearly a fall of flawed teaching. If the Jedi were able to destroy Korriban, it is because they had the power to do so. Therefore, by your teachings, they have the right to do so. And I do not see how you can condemn Revan for following the teachings of the Sith. For those teachings tell him that if he has the power, he can use it. And that is not what the Tia would advocate for, because such things can only spread discord.
The difference is that the Sith do not believe in wiping out a civilization. The Jedi and Revan have no problem. Revan nearly destroyed all of the Mandalorians, but he did not learn from them. He did not see the benefits of their culture. The Jedi came and they wiped out the Sith, believed that their ideals should be destroyed, instead of trying to prove us wrong, which they still have not. That is why I regretted doing what I had to, which is why I am not certain about being here and doing what I've been tasked here. But a Sith are better.
By your own... By
So
what
your
you
group
just
doesn't
said,
believe in destroying a civilization, but
by your own
your teachings do
teachings,
not forbid it.
by your own explanation of your teachings, if you have the power to do that, why not?
It
Because
seems like you have a more high moral code that is independent from the Sith teachings themselves.
if I kill you because I disagree with you, what does that prove? All I've done is eliminated a problem. But if instead I prove to you that I am stronger, I make it known that you cannot defeat me, and then you decide to serve me willingly, which is the better outcome, which shows more power. The true Sith seeks to subjugate and prove their strength, not destroy and eliminate. That is what a barbarian does, what someone who is uneducated does. And that is what Revan has done.
Having power does not make you right.
That is your opinion, Jedi.
Well, by your opinion, we must be right because we beat you.
And have I not let you answered all your questions and do as you have asked?
And yet, you argue and claim that you are right.
I
You
did not say.
denigrate our beliefs.
You were the one who asked what I believed.
She
And
is
in
right.
your answer, you denigrate our beliefs.
And in your answer, you denigrate hers.
Her Sith beliefs are that the Sith can subjugate people, and that subjugation is better than decimation, which may be true, but it still is an absolute disregard for life and a corruption of the harmony. And if the Jedi had to destroy the Sith in order to prevent them from performing subjugation on other people in the galaxy, then perhaps that is what the Jedi felt they had to do, whether or not it was the best solution. It was the solution that they took.
And the reason why for this one, Revan was easily able to convince our people to rise up against them, to try and destroy the people that nearly killed us all. And that is the flaw. Your fallen Jedi have found easily found prey that would gather up at the core. But unfortunately, our foolishness as well has put us in an awkward place. Placed us here, where we are standing now.
I am curious, was there any diplomacy on either side tried?
What do you refer?
Well, you talk of a war and Jedi wiping your people mostly out. Did either side attempt diplomacy?
Where have you been? Under a rock? Do you not know of the War of Exar Kun?
No.
Battle of
I'm no
Exar Kun is
Jedi.
ravaged and was told about from generations. It is one of the greatest wars, next to this one now.
Wait, so do I know about the War of Exar Kun?
Is that what you're rolling for?
Yeah.
Details are rough. You know the name. You know he had something to do with the Jedi, but eventually he was a Sith, and there was a great war fought between the Jedi and the Sith. The details of it are kind of escape you, but you know the Jedi eventually won. But in doing so, the Jedi believed that they had wiped out the Sith completely.
I was under the impression that Exar Kun was once a Jedi. So, in that case, wouldn't those also be considered not true Sith?
Difference being that Exar Kun was instructed directly from a Sith spirit, and that spirit inhabited him for a time.
So, you and your masters are serving Revan, but you don't believe that he's a true Sith? How does your master feel?
She is dead. That is why I am here.
I'm afraid I do not follow.
As I said, Revan brought his fallen Jedi to our planet. He, at first, tried to work with the original Sith, those of us in the Academy who spent all our lives training. Then, suddenly, the true Sith started being pushed down the totem pole, getting meager tasks, and those who were once powerful masters were now being replaced by children who barely understood the dark side. Our master was one such an individual. She protested. She asked Revan to consider what he was doing, that the people, the masters who had been here for generations, knew a little bit more about this than his fallen friends. So Revan came to deal with their discussions personally. She and several other Sith who considered and believed the way she did were executed before our eyes. Their apprentices, if they did not convert, were also seemingly executed. Those of us that did not speak up or challenge, well, at first we were welcomed, and then suddenly we were below even meager apprentices that even he had little time for. Eventually, we've all been shuffled off into little tasks here and there. We are but a shell of what we once were.
I'm sorry for the loss of your master, but it sounds to me like Revan used his power to subjugate the Sith, which the Sith Code would condone.
Yes, you argue that you are separate, but I see no difference between you. By your own explanations.
Revan, he did not subjugate us. He replaced us. The current Sith have no regard for the ancestors before them, the ones who used this power, who taught them this power. Those of us who could have taught them of this were killed. There is no subjugation. We were wiped out almost completely.
All
So,
comes to the same thing: slavery and destruction.
do you serve the ones who attacked the world we fled from?
I don't know. I know of the Battle of Terrace. I know what happened there. And to some degree, I understand it. The people there had to be seen, they had to be shown the power of the dark side. But the reason I am here, this goes beyond simple power.
Then what is its purpose? Subjugation?
Annihilation.
What?
What do you know of the Battle of Terrace? What has your people discovered on that day when their families were destroyed?
I was just a traveler. I was just passing through Terrace. Or, let me correct that. Wait, what planet did she say?
I'm sorry, it's Telos. I've been saying Terrace.
Yeah,
It was
I
Telos.
was going to say. I was just passing through Telos.
Do you know who led that attack?
I saw an image of a man. I'm not familiar with him.
I assume the man you saw was the one on the ground. The actual fleet was led by Admiral Saul Karen. He used it as a way to prove his power, which, to some degree, as I have said, I do not completely disagree with. However, the one who led the ground forces, Admiral Vakaris, he is petty and vindictive. During the ground battle,
Wonton murder.
To put it bluntly, yes. When he led that battle, he was supposed to destroy anyone trying to escape, prevent word from spreading from any survivors. Obviously, he failed, as you and several other ships escaped and came here. He was put down in his rank and, instead of being killed, was sort of given a menial task on Korriban. Eventually, he wormed his way into another fleet, smaller, of no consequence. But he was not satisfied with letting a few wanderers, homeless people, leaving. He was not satisfied with just showing them the power of the Sith. So he has organized this fleet to find your people and annihilate them. Ensure that there are no survivors this time, that no one escapes the Admiral. That is why I am here. To send him information so that it is quick and clean. There will be no mistakes this time.
But you
So
have
how
said
long have you been
yourself you
collecting?
disagree with him.
These people, they've already been shown the power of the Sith. What point is there in destroying them further? They are already shocked and in fear and are barely surviving. If this was my command, I would say that to let them live on. Tell the tale of the Sith. Let it be part of our history. But to destroy them all simply out of vengeance, that is petty and beyond anyone but a barbarian, which the Admiral is.
Well, that is what the dark side truly is. Perhaps your people were not as dark, but that is what the dark side is.
Maybe you both mean something different when you say the dark side.
So the goal of the Sith is to have power and make others respect that through fear and intimidation and displays of power and optional subjugation of people.
That is only half of it. Just because one is subjugated does not mean they cannot climb the ranks themselves. A slave in the Sith economy is just as capable of becoming a Dark Lord than a Dark Lord is becoming a slave. It's all about maintaining power and gaining it. It is a natural way of things, if you like. Lions challenge each other to duels for pride. This is the same.
Like animals.
Yes, although there's more nuance to ours and laws that govern what we do, but in essence, it is primal. It is natural. We rise to the top, or we fall to the bottom, depending on how capable we are.
That is not any way to live.
It is our
It's
way.
a very narrow-minded view of power to consider the ability to exert your influence over others, whereas others might consider it a power and a strength to be willing to lay down your life for the protection of others and to view them as more valuable than yourself.
Is it not better to live in peace and freedom? Isn't that, in its own way, a form of power?
Truly. And how well has that worked out for the Republic? You've had peace for many years after Exar Kun, and then the Mandalorians came in and nearly annihilated you. The only thing that stopped them was the somewhat narrow-minded but brilliant strategies of a ruthless leader named Revan, who has now continued to subjugate others. Your own...
A leader whose actions you do not condone now, though.
No. Nonetheless, the point stands. Your peace is not any stronger, it would seem, than our beliefs.
But Revan following your beliefs is what led us down this path.
No. Revan following his own twisted versions of what he's read has led him down his path. He has known nothing about what our culture precedes. Ajak, Aelund, at this point, what are you two up to?
Whole lots of conversations, and we're checking on the star charts at the place inside the ship, see if we can figure out more details on the coordinates from the holo projector. And I'm assuming that would have happened by now.
Yeah. Let me see. Alright. You ask around for a little while, and then you find that there is someone who actually has a star chart that's working and is currently in use. And the people that you talk to point you to botanist overseer Verna Dasrex and her home.
Why do I get a bad feeling when I just heard her name?
You remember
Well,
that she was the one who was the caretaker for the plants that were burned at the greenhouse.
Yeah, but I have a bad feeling about her.
Well, let's check this out.
All right, laddie. Let's see what we can't do. Maybe she'll be nice today.
I know. Did you bring her some more plants?
The plants she might not care about. It's the seeds she cares about in her experiment.
Yeah. Well, let's just not mention that, if at all possible. Don't need to get her riled up over nothing.
Aye. Let's just keep it kind of basic and see if we can't be as charming as possible.
Alright, so I guess we head over to talk to her to see if we can use the star charts.
Right. You knock on the door and you hear, "It's open."
I'll gesture to have Alon go in first.
Trader. Aelin will open the door and take his steps in slowly and cautiously, but wanting to let her know that she knows he knows that she's welcomed him in.
Right. As you walk in, her home is actually pretty pleasant compared to the other kind of. The outside looks sort of like a shack, like everyone else, but the inside is actually fairly nice. There's lots of plants. It smells nice. It's well decorated. There's a few tribal markings which seem to kind of match her tattoos. As you remember, she's Iridonian with several tattoos covering her entire body, with long black hair. She looks over to you, sitting at a desk, and do I know you? You seem familiar.
Well, lass, I figure you might be able to help us out, but we should be familiar a little. We did help with the fire a few nights back, and you were in meeting with the governess just that morning after when we came in to discuss a few things with her.
Yeah, and actually, this is about the fire. We have a lead on who was responsible, actually, and we found a holo recorder with coordinates, and we were told that you had a star chart that was working. We wanted to know if we could use it to find out more information about who she was in communication with.
I see. You say she's the one who burned down my little plants?
Yes, we believe we've apprehended the guilty party.
Well, then I suppose I won't charge you for using it. Come with me.
Thank you.
And while we're walking to the star chart, can I cross-reference her name real quick with what Sith Lady had written down in her datapad about this lady?
Sure. You look it over. Basic information that you get from her. She lost her family on Telos. And this, of course, take this with a grain of salt because this is the Sith's opinion, but this has made her rather irritable and focused on her work. She seems rather annoyed most of the time, but the Sith suspects that she's just hiding some fears inside of her. For the most part, though, the Sith doesn't really consider her much of a threat, and so that's pretty much all she's gathered on her.
Alright, cool.
She leads you to her star chart room. It's actually rather dark, and when she activates the star chart, you can see why, as it glows. A hologram glows blue, and it lights up the whole room inside it. All right, well, what are we putting in?
We're trying to find this location, and he shows her the location on the holo projector.
All right. She types it in a few moments. She kind of scratches her head. Huh. Where exactly are we looking at this place?
It is a lead to our arsonist and possibly another case, and it could be fairly important. It could be, now I'm theorizing now, it could be a rendezvous location, or it could be the location of a ship, or maybe
No.
of...
It's a planet.
Alright.
It's Korriban. And it's not too far from here.
Okay.
Why are you think that... Why would anyone come from Korriban? I heard that it is a place of mercenaries and desert, and generally bad things.
We believe the woman we apprehended has links to the Sith.
You see her visibly swallow as you say that. Sith? As in, destroyed Telos? Sith?
As in those who destroyed Telos, yeah, and kind of forced us over here, yeah. But don't worry, lass. That's why we've got her apprehended. We're trying to figure out what the greater scheme is here. So, but thank you for,
There
your
might
help,
not
though.
be any. Yes, this clarifies things.
Right. Have you informed the governor of this?
We informed the commander. We're meeting with the governor this morning once she is ready.
Please do keep this to yourself. Don't let anybody know. This could be a really big security leak if you do, so don't. Or else we'll have to hand you over to the commander and... Well, let's not do that, please.
Alright, well, I never asked to be a part of this. You just asked to use my map, and now I've got to be part of a super high security... She just starts mumbling in Iridonian. I was just going to have some tea and be done with the day, but no. I gotta come in here and be... Just... Fine, I'll keep it secret. Just go.
Thank you, lass. Enjoy your tea and take a few moments to breathe the air while you can. It's always nice to reflect on things. He says in a friendly manner, trying to almost come from a place of sympathy rather than anything else.
She pauses for a moment, doesn't say anything, but she gives you a look of kind of like, really? Fine. And kind of shows you to her door.
Alright, so I guess we walk out.
Oh dear.
Well, that made her day, didn't it?
You know, I think that would have any reasonable person react that kind of way. Well, now the question is, do we go talk to the High Commander immediately, or do we wait for the meeting?
Well, we haven't been summoned yet, so it's kind of one of those things of... Do we go and not be summoned, or do we wait till we're summoned?
Well, maybe he's over at the prison, not the rigs. We could check on the prisoner too.
Yeah, I figured that would probably be the better idea, at least until we're summoned. Yeah, let's go see the prisoner.
Alright. At this point, you'll be reaching just as they finish that part of the conversation, so you're just there now. So you're all there looking at the prisoner.
How long has she been awake?
I don't know. How long have we been talking to her?
Probably a good 30 minutes.
She woke up about half an hour ago.
Did she tell you anything useful? We found some interesting data off the datapad and hollow projector.
Yes, there's a Sith fleet that wants to annihilate this entire colony.
Oh, wonderful.
Why?
Because they
A
didn't
show
get
of
the
power.
chance to on Telos.
Apparently
Great.
they want to finish the job.
Well, her hollow recorder only had one link, and it went straight to Korriban. It was apparently near here.
Alright.
I'm not familiar
Yeah.
with the planet that much.
Apparently it's the
Korriban is
Sith's
near here.
homeworld.
Well, and her datapad contained records of notes about various personnel, defensive weaknesses, and we have to assume that she sent all of that to whoever was on Korriban on the other end.
Well, I think the first priority here is probably working towards some sort of evacuation.
At the very least, alerting a Republic fleet of some sort.
Not
Maybe
really.
they can catch.
We can
Maybe they
leave
can catch
before the
this.
Sith fleet comes here, and if the supply ships get here, that will provide us with extra room to move people off, more life support.
Well, we might need the fleet as backup in case we don't evacuate in time, or we might be able to catch the Sith fleet off guard and destroy them.
Well, I
Because we
think the
know they're
question
gonna be
is
coming
there
here.
a fleet available? And if there is a fleet available, do we have any way to contact them in the first place or know that they're available? I think the best option is to prepare for evacuation.
Well, obviously we need to We need to prepare for an evacuation, but it would be foolish to waste this opportunity to potentially get the drop on an entire fleet if we can use it.
How are we going to evacuate if we have no ships capable of hyperspace?
We can cannibalize the parts that were cannibalized from the ship in the first place and repair them.
At this
I thought
point,
we were missing it.
the girl interrupts to answer Ayland. I was tasked with this. If I did not do my duty, I would be killed next.
Well, you have nothing left to go back to.
That is certainly true.
You always have a choice not to do evil.
That is exactly what a Jedi would say. But your masters do not threaten to kill you.
Could
Well,
you
your
not try to
teachings
escape?
say that your teachings are the ones that say your masters have the right to kill you if they have the power to do so.
Yes, I do. Does that mean I let them? No. My survival, and the survival of those I care about, depended on my obedience.
But if you lived in a culture where that was not the case, where they did not have such power, then you would not have to be forced to do against your will in order to protect those that you care about.
We all fight for those we care about in one way or another at some point in our lives. It really doesn't matter how we get to that.
Well, as much as
It
I'd like to
does.
continue talking philosophy with all of you, I think we had better start working on things. The governor should probably be notified immediately. I don't think waiting even a minute or two is a good idea.
At this point, the High Commander walks in and... Alright. I'm off duty. You all ready? Ah, I see our young prisoner's awake. She been a problem?
No,
Apparently not. The faster we get over to talk to the governor, the better.
I will stay with the prisoner.
You don't want to bring her? I'm sure the governor would find her fascinating.
Do you really want to move
Whatever
her?
you wish.
Well, you give me your word you protect the governor, I think we'll be fine.
She does seem to have been quite cooperative so far now.
No harm will come to the governor, as Aelin will look over to the Sith girl and just kind of give her a stern look of, don't you even try it.
She doesn't even really seem to be looking defensively or like she's looking for an out. She just sort of seems to accept her situation. Right, well, why don't we get going then? He has his releaser, doesn't take the binder cuffs off of her, but he leads you all to the assembly chamber.
Well, while we're walking, I will ask her.
And what was your name?
Dakaya. Dakaya Malefic.
Can you write that out so I have a better idea of what you're saying?
Thank you. I am Shiloh.
All right. You reach the assembly chamber. You see seated there is the governor behind her desk. You also see Zared, who you haven't seen since he left the High Commander's room, along with a young woman who is standing behind him. You've never seen her before, and you do not recognize her. High Commander leads your whole troop in, and once he sees that you are all situated, he takes his place behind the governor. He whispers something in her ear, and then you see her. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you've returned. I've been informed by Zared and the High Commander of all that is going on. Please, take a seat and add any additional information you wish to share.
And with that, I think Aelin will fork over the data pad and whatnot, completely unlocked and whatnot, over to the High Commander and say, this is what I could find. This is what we have. We still would like to keep the data pad. There's something interesting about this. I don't know. I find it fascinating, though.
The holo projector links directly to Korriban. She's a Sith informant of some sort.
Well, I was going to break the ice.
To the others.
Yeah. And Aelin will then kind of sigh and say, I was going to try to break the ice a little bit gentler, but there you have it.
We don't really have the time.
So then she was definitely sent by the Sith. And
Yes.
Korriban, you say?
Yes.
Yes.
She has
The others managed to talk to her.
She has been surprisingly forthcoming. With little to no effort on her purse. She seems to have accepted her situation. Though she does argue philosophy a bit.
Well, since you guys were actually there talking to her, could one of you bring her up to speed on some more details about her communications? I only got to talk to you for a couple seconds.
Yeah, can I just say that I've explained some of that?
Sure. You
rather
explain.
than go over that in character.
Yeah, you explain everything. I assume everything.
Yeah.
Right. After a few moments, you can see everyone in the room kind of soaking information in. The governor nods to you and just says, well, and this is certainly something we can't ignore. To be honest, I'm a little surprised that she's given you so much information, but hey, information is better than none. Tell me, do you, if there was a way to get to Korriban, do you think you could stop this fleet?
What?
Well, there's no
I-
indication that the fleet is on Korriban whatsoever.
If we
True,
could get
but
to
someone
Korriban,
has to know where it is.
if we could get to Korriban and stop a fleet, by our lonesomes. If I had some of the resources I used to have at Republic Security, maybe. But I don't know. That's a tall task. A fleet is still a fleet, lass.
Indeed.
Do you have any way to contact the Republic's fleets?
If I had that, we wouldn't be in this predicament.
Well,
Well, surely one of your underworld contacts could somehow get word to them.
The word there being underworld. I'm flattered by your suggestion, but I think the only one here would have that kind of pull would be Zered, and Zered kind of nods. I doubt that with a war going on that there's much I can do. But, the governor says, based on my conversation with the girl, it does seem like this admiral is sort of the head of it, correct? This Bacchus? And
it seems.
Wait, who?
the girl pipes up behind you, Dakaya. Admiral Various. Right. It's Admiral Various. So, it stands to reason that if maybe he was killed, that may put a little bit of a chink in the armor of their plans. Maybe cause a little confusion. Enough time for something to be done.
That still begs the
Wait,
question
can I
of
say
how we
something?
could get
Ask
off
something
world.
out of character.
Sure.
So I feel like I missed the thing about this admiral. I thought we were talking about wasn't Saul Karath? I thought that's who she was
It's
talking
an
about.
underling that was punished for letting people get away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was talking about Saul Karath when she was saying that.
No. Saul Kareth
Okay.
led the whole fleet into the attack. This admiral was responsible for making sure people didn't escape the planet. And he failed.
Okay.
And so he's trying to make up for that and finish the job. Or something like that.
In any case, I think...
Well, regardless
we
of
could
whether or
just-
not we can get off world, we still should probably prep the colony for immediate evacuation, if nothing else. Because if we're unsuccessful and the fleet still arrives, you can't face an entire fleet. It's not
Understood.
possible.
No, and I understand that, but as fortune would have it, we may have an opportunity here.
What?
See this girl over here? And she points out the girl standing behind Zered. This is Summer Chong, Zered's daughter. She's a pilot, an expert pilot from what her father says. She just brought a ship with her.
Because suddenly perks up.
No.
If
Because behave yourself.
we'd been talking beforehand, obviously we didn't know about all this, but we had discussed that if it were needed, if she would be willing to take a couple people some places that might be necessary. She's already agreed. Unless Zered's changed his mind about letting his daughter take the risk, she might be able to take you to Korriban. The rest would be up to you, but at least you get there.
How big a ship are we talking about?
At this point, the Summer speaks up. Just a simple transport ship, nothing too extravagant. But it served my father and I pretty well. It's actually his ship. I just inherited it. He doesn't use it quite as much anymore. But it would be enough to take you and some supplies to Korriban.
Not effective for an evacuation.
No.
What use would going to Korriban be?
We infiltrate, we find the location of this admiral. We take him out and hopefully shift focus off of this colony.
Hey, even that's quite a tall order.
I'm not even sure how we would achieve something like that. Setting that aside, I have my own places to be.
Facepalm.
Well, taking the life of a single individual seems unlikely to stop an entire Sith attack against this world.
Alright,
I am in agreement.
let me put it to you this way. There's no fleet that can get to us in time. We have no supplies, and any evacuation we have is more than likely just going to be me hiding my people. Now, you're the only weapons we've got. Either I shoot you at Korriban, or you stay here and maybe help defend against it when it comes.
Can't we repair the ships and just leave?
What
It
ship?
took 3 months to dismantle
Parts
them.
for Red Reserve.
I didn't
The parts
understand
that are
that.
coming are 4 weeks away.
Cannot
We
we
don't know if we
dismantle
have
the
that
parts that we pulled off of the ships in the first place to repair them?
That's a good point. They were used in the colony, but if the colony's gonna be evacuated,
It took us
It
3
took
months.
3 months.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it took 3 months. We have, well, what Takaya tells us is maybe a couple of weeks. I don't think we have the time to sit around and do nothing. And they can still work on repairing the ships to evacuate, but doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yeah, I think that we should definitely go to Korriban.
I'm not convinced we'll be able to achieve anything, even if we do kill one person.
well, the way the Sith are, it does seem to be his initiative that's sending this attack. If that was taken away,
I think
there's
one
some
big issue,
chance.
though, is we're heading into the heart of their empire with a Jedi.
yeah. This is the problem. How to actually pull it off.
At this point, Takaya responds, I could get you onto the planet. And, as I've already said, Jedi are not as uncommon in Korriban as they used to be. It's just a matter of playing the part. But I do not know where the Admiral is. I know he's with the fleet and not on Korriban. But the plan was to make sure that if I was captured or something happened, I knew as little as possible. But the Sith Academy does know where he is. That's how they would relay the information I gave to Korriban and gave it to him. It would take some doing, but there are other avenues than walking straight into the Sith Academy. And I'm not the only one who's a little upset about the current way the government is working.
So once we find where the fleet is, would you take us there, or would you leave after dropping us off on Korriban? Or would we have to find different means of transportation?
Summer speaks. Well, to be honest, in order to even land on that planet, I'd have to have some sort of disguise. I think King and I think Dad would agree with this. The best way to get in is just to look like I'm here trading supplies and maybe taking a couple passengers. I'll go there and I'll get some supplies, some parts, and some things that might be useful for the colony while I'm there and bring it back. But I won't be able to stay. If I do, it'll look suspicious. So you'll have to figure out some other way to get there. But I don't think that should be too much of a problem. I mean, as long as you keep your heads down, who's going to be upset about some other people coming to Korriban and then leaving?
Yeah, just wanted to clear that up before we head out. Well, anybody have any objections? I'm gonna go, so whoever's with me, I guess we'll leave as soon as possible.
I just worry that I'll be more of a problem than a help. I don't think I can play that sort of part.
All you have to do, Jedi, is just play like you've fallen, so to say, or like you're exploring other avenues, shall we say. Or you could even just keep everything closed.
But that is difficult. It requires a lot of concentration.
Like I said, I don't think I can play that sort of part.
It's not as hard as you may think. Believe me.
That, and we also have the guy here as an asset if we need. Do remember that.
And the alternative is you sitting here waiting for the Sith to come wipe it out.
We do have a Sith with us, and she does seem to be amenable to dealing with this person. I look at her as if asking, correct?
Before she has a chance to answer, the head commander jumps in. Oh, wait a minute. I get that we have to do something, but are you honestly going to trust her? I mean, yeah, she's been forthcoming, and that's a little suspicious on its own. But then not to mention the fact that you're bringing her home.
What better way than to gain her cooperation than to give her something that she wants? She wants to go home. Why not make use of that hook and take her there and get something that we need out of it as well?
Killing this person would give her a chance to gain more power, would it not?
Also, if she were to return to her master, she'd be killed instantly. She fell in battle. She is a defeated apprentice. What does Sith do with that, Dakaya? What do Sith do to defeated apprentices?
They are killed in front of the others.
So you see here, she doesn't want to go back to her master. She might like to see home one last time, but she's got no love of the place. At least while the current political seasons are the way it is.
If she can subjugate this person who she reports to, then I think she would not be in that position anymore in the first place.
I don't know that I trust her to that extent either.
It still
Jedi.
seems really risky to me.
It's her chance for redemption, Jedi. Think about it.
That her version of redemption means power.
And what is wrong
Well,
with
here's the
power?
thing. Will we be able to
Sith
find the
power.
information we need
Dark
without her?
side.
All this discussion of motivation boils down to one fact. Can we do it without her? I don't think we have time to do it without her.
It's a lot riskier to do it without her.
That's the way I see it. If we don't use her, she's gonna sit in the jail, rot away until either she dies from the invasion fleet or somebody decides to end her just cause.
Or when we're gone, she simply breaks out and slaughters all of you, and maybe, gets her, doesn't get killed.
Hey, because Kalani's ears twitch at that. Oh no.
There is perhaps one other option. In that the Force ghosts obviously would not like this planet to be destroyed, so we might be able to convince them to use their powers to protect the planet from the Sith fleet.
A union between the colonists and the spirits of the place. That could also be interesting.
Whoa, wait a minute. You said these spirits just wanted to chase people off, that they didn't really care for us either. Why would they join our side? And for that matter, why do you think they even care? Wouldn't they be more than happy to have our little lives wiped away from their home?
Do you remember what the Sith did to Telos? They don't
But
exactly...
in Telos,
Yeah.
it was all colonized. There's only one little spot here. They may just raise this place to the ground and leave.
They don't really destroy things gentle-like either.
Yes, the city is only a couple miles from here, and it seems like they consider this whole planet to be their own. I don't think that they would want... I'm not saying that they would help us out to help us out, but they might help themselves out, and by doing so, help us out.
Although, they might think that if they get rid of us first, the Sith won't attack their planet at all, thereby taking out a small force that is not equipped to deal with them versus an entire fleet. That's what I would do.
Oh, thanks.
I will reluctantly concede that that is a valid point.
So, Korriban it is. Summer, when can we leave?
Well, I gotta load up the ship with the fake supplies and get some credits from Governor here so that I have some money to spend. Late afternoon?
Excellent. Where's your ship located? We'll meet you there.
On the
Or
outside.
at least I will.
Hidden. I'll come get you when it's time.
Okay.
And out of character, I'm torn between mentioning the credits that we got.
Because will be waiting until he gets to Korriban, where it might be cheaper than the horribly inflated prices here.
So if we're going to go on this mission for the good of the colony, is there any chance that we could get some supplies, like possibly some more med packs, to assist us without having to buy them from the Rhodian?
You mean hors germ? Governor gives you a sly smirk. Yeah, I might be able to arrange something. If you're certain you don't want to go and see his cheery smile, supposedly he has good customer service.
Yes, I would rather not have another in-person meeting with him.
I see. What is it that you're all requiring? I might be able to get some, but if you ask for anything extravagant, you might have to deal with him.
Well, I used up all of our med packs in our encounter in the ancient city, so we could use more of those, especially if we're going into hostile territory of Korriban.
I feel like we need more of a plan. I don't know what, but I feel like we need more of a plan. And that might also affect our needs.
Well, unfortunately, we don't really have the leniency of time on our side to come up with some sort of elaborate plan. We'll have to figure it out once we're on the ground, since we don't have very much intel about the planet, about the structure, where we have to go for intel. I'm assuming it will have changed since the last time Dakaya was there. So we won't know what we'll need until we're there, and we might be able to acquire it then. We can generally pack provisions, but as far as anything specific, we have no idea what we'll need.
Might pick up a few more powder packs if we need.
If I run out of power cells for my blaster, we're going to be in some serious problems.
I'm not worried about running out of our current ammo situation. I'm more worried about running dry in the middle of a fight with what we have. I would like some extra just in case, though.
I don't understand what you just said. Anyone else?
Elon wants more power packs. He doesn't want to risk anything.
Yeah, but what you said, what? My brain hurt.
I'll put it straight. If you can pick me up another 2 or 3, 4 powder packs would be awesome. But at least 2 or 3 would be nice to have.
If it's simply ammo and med packs you guys need, that shouldn't be a problem. I should be able to arrange that for you.
Thank you very much. That is greatly appreciated.
And Elon will then look back at Dakaya and kind of tenderly ask her, will you be needing anything, Lass?
A change of clothes. If I arrive in this, I'll arouse suspicion. Also, some sort of cylinder that resembles my lightsaber might be a good idea.
Alright, we'll see what we can do. Did anybody end up picking up her lightsaber from when we fought her?
Shilu got the whip, the strange whip, weapon, and Pekaz got the other one.
Bubble
Did
bursting time.
Ayland ask that in character or out of character?
Oh, he asked that in character. He wants to know if anybody picked anything up.
We are certainly not suggesting that we give her an actual weapon, right?
Oh,
No.
no.
No, it's to see what it looks like to make a copy.
Either that or deactivate it to the point where it can't be activated. Whichever we have quicker time for.
Probably the latter.
Well, I have her light whip here with me. I suppose we could take out the focusing crystal. but I'm also sure that could be done on the flight. Is there anything else we need to take care of now?
Other than the powder packs, I just need to stop by and the cantina and pick up something. Since we'll be traveling, before my plans for this evening.
Looking a bit confused.
Governor, is there anything else you need to discuss with us? Otherwise, we should probably get going to make preparations for leaving.
Not unless you have any questions for me. Like I said, I'll make sure that you have the credits and the med packs you need. Can't think of anything else, though.
Do you have a method of communication so that we can be in contact with you?
Not long range, sorry.
Okay.
But, if Summer returns, we'll at least know how far you got.
Well, if that's all, I think I, for one, will take leave and go make preparations to make sure everything's in order.
Well, if there is a powerful force sensitive here on the colony, we might, in the 2 moments we have before leaving, try to establish a sense of each other's consciousness, and that way we may be able to communicate while we are on our travels, in case there is something urgent that needs to be relayed. Do you think there's anyone here skilled enough to attempt this technique?
That is
Well-
no mean feat.
Look, I don't pretend to understand your culture, Kalani. But, the only force users we have are those from Telos, and as I think you know, they were failed Jedi who never even made it to Padawan stage. I don't really know how to gauge power, but the one that the other force users seem to acknowledge and sort of, I guess, follow would be Zeknor Wital. But I wouldn't know his power level, if that's the correct term.
Well, perhaps you could introduce us to them.
Then, before you leave, I'll send word and have him come here.
I do not know if it will be possible, but it is wise to at least try.
So Summer is planning on returning to the governor's office when she's ready.
I think she said she was going to come and get us when she was ready.
Okay. Well, I guess I will just stay around the governor's office building and wait for this Force-sensitive person to show up whenever he does.
Ayland
Right.
will pull Shyla aside, or at least kind of whisper in his ear, if you would like a little bit of light armor for protection, you might want to check it out. I think it's still in the barracks. I let Ajax look at it earlier, and he didn't take it.
Perhaps I will.
Can I hear this? Sorry. Can I hear this conversation, or are you just like...
Yeah, you guys are all still there.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be secret. It was just mostly kind of pulling him aside, letting him know that there's something he might want to look at if he wants. I don't know. Last time I checked, Jedi didn't like armor, so Woogie. And Aelin has no clue about what a kill would wear, who likes to throw rocks that are 5 times bigger than him.
Well, perhaps I should talk to Ajax about it.
Well, Takaya does need appropriate wear to not arouse suspicion, and that obviously fits her. As far as finding something else that she could wear, it might be difficult.
What makes you say that it fits her? Do you think that it's hers?
It came from the chest that the ghost sent to us, or sent with us. So who knows?
Alright,
whose
sorry, I
it
forgot
is.
they was. For some reason, I got in my head that the 2 pieces of armor were the same thing. Never mind. Ignore them. Ignore
Yeah.
that comment. That never actually happened.
Okay.
Somehow just the armor got melded into one thing. Never mind. Rewind about 30 seconds and then we'll restart. Say nothing.
Okay, so I will take Ajax aside and talk to him outside of earshot of everyone else.
Alright, and I'll run off to the cantina to get something for my purposes.
Right? What is everyone else doing?
Where was where was her armor at last count?
Her armor probably got teleported with us, probably just outside where the chest is.
Yeah, you never claimed it. It's just there with the chest. If that's still there.
Yep. It's a little holy too, by the way.
I just got distracted by it. For some reason, my mind after that conversation just melded them both together into the same thing.
Maybe we should go get that and see if we can make it look a little less battered to help with their disguise.
Perhaps we should ask the governor about that too.
About what?
Well, Takaya had some armor that she was wearing when we fought her, and it's pretty badly beat up. But do you know of anyone in the colony who might be able to quickly patch it up so that it at least looks presentable?
Where was this armor last?
I believe that the spirits teleported it outside the city with us. And then it seems that no one grabbed it, so it's probably still there.
You mean last night, King?
Indeed.
Well, if you can find it, we might be able to patch it up, but it probably won't be anything remarkable.
Well, let's go see if we can find that armor then.
And Ajax will go out to see if he can find it.
Okay, well, I guess since I wanted to talk with Ajax, I will go with him.
Kaz is still standing there, looking distracted and not paying attention to anything. His mouth moving every once in a while.
You mean his tentacle, whatever you call them things?
Oh yeah, his
Yeah, you gotta
tentacles
remember
waving.
your squid face.
Yeah, that works even better.
Right. Kalani, the High Commander, he comes up behind Takaya and he motions for you to follow him. He's like, "Here, you can help me take her back." Ajax and Shialu, you two are the ones that are leading?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Aylin's going to the cantina. Right. And because what are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh, you know what I'm doing?
What does the group see?
Standing there, spaced, looking a little bit spaced out. And if there's any sign that, if he'll make any visible sign that they're talking, then I guess they might see that once in a while. But other than that, they don't hear anything.
Should we roll perception to see if we notice him doing that?
I mean, I'm not exactly hiding it, but probably difficult considering kill.
Yeah, you're not hiding it at all. They're all pretty much weirded out at you, like mouthing to yourself.
Or shaking, or my hulepi vibrating. Except not
Okay,
making any sound.
I think the first thing I would do is see if he's using the Force.
There's force activity around him, but it doesn't necessarily seem like it's just him using it. Like it's just sort of like there. Like there's just an energy, like a like static electricity, just kind of around him.
Okay.
Pardon me, Picaz, but what are you doing?
He suddenly snaps back to it. And it looks at you, he's like, oh, nothing, just thinking.
What is up with you?
He cocks his head a little bit.
It seemed to me like you were surrounded by the Force. Were you
Aren't we
meditating?
always surrounded by the Force? I would think you and Kalani, all people would know that.
Yes, that is true. Perhaps it seemed a little bit more than usual, but maybe not.
Interesting.
Well, I guess you can continue thinking about what you were thinking about. I did not mean to disturb you.
But if you want, we're going to go out to look for that armor so we can better disguise Takaya so they're not suspicious.
I will tag along then.
All right. So, Aelund, you can decide how you want to communicate what you're going to go do. Either whisper me or say it aloud. Your choice.
Oh, it's only for his well, you don't even know that part. Like a bottle of Iridonian brandy and 2 shot glasses.
Oh dear.
You find the Reborn Star, which is a bar which was created to memorialize the Golden Star, which was a popular place in Thanai before it was destroyed. You find an old bard keep who introduces himself as Amakade, who half of his face has been burned off and just looks all scarred up, and one of his eyes looks blind. But he seems friendly enough. As you approach and with your drink order, he offers it to you, and you looks to you and, do you want the bottle or just the shots?
Oh, the whole bottle.
All right,
Oh no.
that'll be 20 credits.
Alright. And he tosses over 20 credits.
Appreciate it. And he takes it. And, is there anything else I can do for you?
Nah, that'd be about it. Oh, here, enjoy yourself a little something. I don't know how much it'll go, but it'll help. And he tosses 10 more credits over.
Nah, thank you kindly. How many people tip around here? Be sure to take you up on that then. He takes it and pockets the 10, and then is quickly called away as someone else orders something. All right. So 3 of you, you're going to find the armor, right?
Yep.
All right. Go ahead and make some perception checks, each of you.
I'm just tagging along, so I'm not really paying attention. Wait a minute. Did we bring Dakayo with us?
No, the commander and Kalani took her back to the cell, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then I think I would. Well, I don't think I can retcon it now, but I think I would have stayed. But that may be.
Well,
too
you were
late now.
kind of out of it. You probably didn't even hear that exchange.
Mm.
All right. Shialu, as you approach, you manage very quickly to find the box, as it's still there, opened up, but it's tipped over on its side. You get up to the ground quickly, and at first you don't see the armor, and you kind of start to panic, but then a few yards away you see it sort of dragged, like it's sort of been dragged from its spot, and you see some animal tracks around. There is also, kind of where the sleeves are, one of the sleeves has been almost torn apart, and it looks as though some creature thought it was food, but then decided it wasn't and sort of left it there. But it now has a torn sleeve on one side.
In addition to the other damage. Great.
Well, at least it's still here. Guess we should take it back, see if they can do anything with it.
Yes, fortunately we found it.
I'll be right back a second.
All right. So I think with that we can end it for the night.
All right. Thank you for tuning in, YouTube, and thank you guys for showing up. At least I had a blast.
Yep, even though it kind of made my head hurt.